'cause it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a gold dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you only get...
What is up, Wisconsin? Welcome to Raised in Wisco with Joel Clayfish and Danielle Fairman on 540 AM WAUK 101 FM, The Shaw. Oh, I'm so jacked up right now, Danielle.
What? Like
I'm
from Mountain Dew? All jacked up on Mountain Dew?
Well, I did have Mountain Dew and potato olays. Man, that takes me right back to childhood. The potato olay is the quintessentially best fried potato of any kind you will ever eat, seconded only by the potato cake from Arby's, which few people even know about.
No.
It doesn't even exist in most people's brains. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable.
The only thing that exists in people's brains about Arby's is their Frosties. That's all that matters.
Oh, come on. That's cheese they put on the sliced roast beef?
No, I do not.
It's so good. It's not actually
cheese.
The
only thing I get from Arby's is the Frosty. That's it.
You're just going to ignore the curly fry?
Yes, I am going to ignore.
Chase Baker's talking already? This is so weird. It's the first session, and he's... Calvin, you turned his mic on already? My Lord. Hey, again, welcome to the show, Chase Baker. Chase Baker. What's interesting about Chase is that he owns this company called Grit, which is videography for the outdoors, hunting, fishing, outdoor lifestyle in the state of Wisconsin. And he's not only is he an award-winning photojournalist, but his stuff is so great. I mean, it evokes emotion. It really captures the outdoors. And we were just talking before the show about the difference of shooting video or recording a hunt versus having a hunt recorded or filmed or whatever the word you want to use. We don't really use film anymore, so it's technically recording it. Chase, welcome to the show, but it's going to take just a minute because I got a lot on my mind, Danielle.
Do you?
I do. First of all,
sorry, I have to set up on live from my Facebook too.
Did you forget? Were you a little sloppy today?
I was. I did. I procrastinated a little bit.
Danielle and I took.
It was the potato ole.
Danielle and I took promo photos today.
Darn
out in the
good
woods, and it looked like we all look like we're out in the swamp in the marsh in the fall, but it was 127 degrees Kelvin, not Kelvin, Kelvin out there. So I was sweating.
Is that only
like a
because
butcher.
you were wearing a hooded sweater with a vest with your goose calls?
Yes, but
and
do you
shorts.
understand that those are all, and in camouflage, they're all very trimming on me. So I want to put my best foot forward, and I don't want. And why do you think I have this camera on the Facebook Live? Just like chest and higher, because then it doesn't show my dad.
Because
belly.
that's the way it's positioned. Hey, dad bods are in.
Okay, save that. That's just an excuse for
not
me
grandpa
being
bod.
fat. Okay.
I didn't call you a grandpa bod.
Danielle, right off the bat, she's lost it. Calvin, she's lost it in here, bro. You might have to save me.
It's been a while since I've had.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, we've missed you, Calvin. We love Anastasia.
Calvin.
We do miss you,
Anastasia's great, but it's nice to see you again. Calvin's producing the show from the booth. We're in the Fishbowl, 217 Wisconsin Avenue. Stop on by and say hey if you'd like to. But I'm on the way here. I'm talking to Robin Kennedy, the Kennedy clan.
Dude.
What?
Okay, you should have spotted this because you're a camera dude. I didn't even hit live. We're not even live. I'm just on here.
Okay. Well, if Danielle's going to get her live feed up here, do we need to take a moment for you, Danielle? Some of us try to be prepared for the show, Danielle. And
that's Andrew.
Robin brings up.
Oh, shush your face. Oh, we're fighting already. We're fighting.
Robin brings up the show Love Connection. Are you guys old enough to remember the show Love Connection with Chuck Woolery?
No.
So they've got all these shows on TV now they call it love, but really they're just wacky. And
Love is Blind.
They're kind of gross, actually, a lot of these
Love
shows. Like
Island.
The Bachelor and Bachelorette, Love Island.
I do not watch any of those.
I don't
I get
either.
angry at them.
I get angry at them, too, because I think to myself that if there's any way not to find a real mate, it's to go on one of those shows, I feel like.
This is very true.
Did you know that there's an ultimate fighting version of this? Like, Conor McGregor lives, like, they each have teams. I forget the other guy, but, Chad Mendez, who works for The Provider, we get to deal with. He's one of the best ultimate fighters in the world. Evidently, they live in a house together, and then they pit these people against each other in, like, bare-knuckle cage matches. And
It's
it's
not bare knuckle.
what is it?
Oh, get him, Calvin. Get him.
Calvin chimes in. What is it?
It's MMA, so I mean they wear gloves, but it's like wrestling, boxing, all combined.
Do you watch this show, Calvin?
I don't watch the show. I am a fan of the league, though. This show kind
What?
of serves as a
Look at that whole new
like
side.
the show serves to like find prospects for the UFC, and it gets a little wacky. Connor's a little bit of a clown, but
Is it kind of a little bit like take out the
I have no
romantic
idea what you're
element
talking
of it?
about.
Is it kind of like these reality dating shows, like they pit each other against each other? And
yeah, it's like Big Brother or Survivor or any of those kind of shows. They all live in a house, and they definitely edit it in a way to increase the drama and that kind of thing. But the fights are all real and stuff.
Holy cow. Anyway, I thought that was fascinating because Aiden Kennedy, our new hunter who we've had on the show and who we took out for the first time to hunt, who just bought his first gun, got his first gun for his birthday last week.
Wow.
I mean, this is what Chase. Oh, we got stuff to talk about with you. This is one of the quintessentially most exciting things for me is taking somebody who doesn't have that outdoor experience
Sure.
and pulling them into it. And you get to do that through videography, through video, through
Yeah.
storytelling. Because a good videographer in the outdoors is a storyteller first and foremost, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. Especially when it comes to somebody's first hunt, first experience to that. You know, as the videographer, you're really not trying to play an active role in the hunt. You're trying to be kind of a passive observer to it, but you're trying to capture what it felt like in those first moments. You know, I've been on a couple of learn to hunts where, you know, somebody is getting ready to pull up the shotgun and you can see their fingers trembling on the safety, and then they're getting ready to pull up and make that first shot. And then when they do finally connect and they get that first duck, you know, you're trying to get the camera up close on them, get the expression on their face. And when they first lay hands on a bird and they pull that wing out and see the speculum feathers all lit up in that early morning sun, I mean, it takes you back to your first hunts and some of, you know, your first harvests, and you get to kind of relive those first moments with somebody. It's pretty awesome.
And I can tell you're a storyteller because even the way you just described that
Yep.
tells me that when you're looking through a lens, look, these days, everybody's got a camera everywhere they go. I mean, when I grew up, you had to, stop. You guys stop at the photo mat. You guys over there, stop at the photo mat. We're going to get a disposable camera for the party.
What?
Yeah.
The photo mat?
What, a photo mat. They used to have these little kiosks in the middle of parking lots where you took your film to get developed. And it was a major, massive advancement that they started having disposable film cameras. And so you'd stop at the photo mat or the Walgreens and you'd buy these disposable cameras to take with you to a night at a bonfire or a party. And you would take, this was long before the selfie. It was long before the selfie.
Well, I'm sure
It
they
might
had
have been the
selfies.
invention of the selfie
Yeah,
with
they
those
had
holding up that disposable camera.
In fact, I think that probably is true to a large extent. And then you would take these pictures, but now everybody's got a camera with them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got a video camera with them. And this phone, this 3x7, these evil 3x7s everyone's addicted to, they have got like 1080p HD cameras on them now.
Oh, yes.
For
Yep.
video.
And you can edit right on the phone.
And you
Right
can edit
then
right
and
on
there.
your
publish.
phone.
Yeah.
And
So-
screenshot and send it. Done.
Part of the problem is everybody now thinks they're a videographer. Everybody thinks they are this or that. And some of the stuff they whip together, and now there's programs like BeatLeap. You just put a bunch of video in it. It does it for you even.
Yep.
Do you think photography with the camera is slowly dying out?
No, it's kind of interesting with photo and video. Everybody having access to it, you know, really nobody has an excuse not to be a photographer, videographer, right? Everybody has access. You can't say, well, I don't have the tools to do it. It really, you know, it's kind of in the same way. Like if you look at like NASCAR, all of the cars are pretty similarly equipped. You know, nobody's car is really that much faster than the other. It all comes down to the driver, right?
Yep.
How fast they're going to make it around. And it really is becoming kind of leveled when it comes to photography, videography, that, you know, buying that $50,000 red camera, that doesn't necessarily make you a filmmaker, right? And you can even find some stuff on YouTube where guys go head to head. They take an iPhone and pit it against $100,000 cinema cameras, and
Oh, yeah, I've
but
definitely
they
seen
put it in the
those.
hands of a beginner, and the storytelling falls flat. And it's like, just because the image quality is there doesn't mean the rest of it is compelling. And that's really, I think, Joel, where the difference lies is, can you create an image that tells a story, that makes you interested in what was going on? Can you put together an edit that tells something in a way that I haven't seen before? And that, to me, that's really where the artistry lies.
I know. I saw on Facebook how you went to school and everything for this. What started? Okay.
Yeah, but
first
before
question.
you say that,
Uh-oh.
Chase before he answers that question, that's a good question. You hit it on the head. Taking video and editing it together does not make a good story. Storytelling makes a good story. And the basis for every single occupation, the basis for being good at any occupation is being able to write. If you can write, and I don't mean like literally put it down, but if you can write and tell a story, that's the basis for what video is going to be successful.
Mm-hmm. So on Facebook, it says you went to school for this. You went to WCTC, or what was it?
Yeah, so I went to WCTC. I did their 2-year program.
Okay.
And then I transferred over to the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design and did their 4-year program.
Schmancy.
So
Very
my
fancy.
background's actually in graphic design, but there's a lot of the same tools. And I took a digital certificate when I was at WCTC, and then at MyEd, I put kind of an emphasis in photography and art direction.
Okay, forgive me. Graphic design and photography, to me, I don't know the difference.
Okay, no, that's fine. So, I mean, digital photography is more about optics, lighting, lighting the shot, composing the shot. There's a little bit of overlap in that graphic designers typically use a good amount of Photoshop. A digital photographer is going to also use Photoshop to manipulate the image. But when you make the transition into graphic design, it's not as much about the story, and it's more about messaging on behalf of usually a business, maybe
Yep.
a cause.
That makes sense.
So, if you're putting together motion graphics for a banner ad, or you're putting together graphics for a T-shirt or a poster, it's not so much about expressing your story. You're trying to get a message to an audience, and it's largely
makes sense.
commercially based then.
That definitely
Yeah,
makes
and we're
sense.
already at the first break. We got Chase Baker, excellent videographer, Danielle Fairman. I'm Joel Clayfish, and a country boy can survive in the state of Wisconsin with all the resources we have. We'll be right back on Raised in Wisco on 540 AM WAUK. I think that's all the small things, right?
Yeah.
Small things, truth care, truth brings.
Who sings this song, Danielle?
I do. Shush your face.
Welcome back, Wisconsin, to Raised in Wisco. I'm your host, Joel Clayfish, alongside me with Danielle Fairman and Chase Baker from Grit. Did you come up with Grit yourself?
Yep.
And yeah, because people don't. Well, I want to get into something that I think a lot of people don't understand. First off, tell me what's interesting to you. You're a hunter.
Yep.
Obviously. Yeah. How do you go? Because I know many people who are actual storytellers, videographers, who like the editing process. They say that the actual shooting video, recording a hunt, is as satisfying as pulling the trigger. How did you go from pulling the trigger to pressing the record button?
Yeah, it was a pretty seamless transition for me. I got a job working in the outdoor industry, doing a lot of design stuff first, and then it was kind of faking hunt scenes to promote product in, you need a bow hanging on a hook in a tree stand type of scenario. So you're kind of putting together the hunts without actually going out on the hunt. So then to kind of take that next step into, okay, we're going to actually film a whitetail hunt or a waterfowl hunt, that was a pretty seamless transition. But what was kind of interesting is you're still going to put in all the legwork that everybody else puts in. If you're out on a spot and stalk hunt, you're going to put in just as many miles as everybody else, but you're going to do it with 40 pounds of camera gear on your back and try to keep up.
I feel like you have to be more secluded because you have a lens and you have the ones that could shine and scare the turkeys out of the tree, right out of the
Yeah, you have to
roost.
really
I feel
have
like that would be more tricky than actually going out there with a gun and shooting.
You almost have to have a sixth sense and be able to kind of predict what's going to happen. Where do you think the ducks are going to come in from? Where do you think the turkey might come into the field? Can I hide myself from that angle? But I still have to be very exposed toward the subject. If I'm trying to capture someone's face, I can only conceal so much of the camera and actually still be able to get them in focus, be able to see that my exposure is good. And, if you're real hidden, you're not going to get the really nice shot. So you've got to kind of predict what's the angle of the sun, what's the angle of the wind, where are the animals hopefully going to come from, and what can I do to kind of conceal myself from that. And some of that will also come down to what type of hunt you're filming. Sometimes it's a more of a casual format where the hunt is the priority, and the priority isn't so much the film. And if it comes down to it, you're going to stay hidden if the hunters have to leave you. I was on a turkey hunt pretty recently where they were doing a Reaper style, and I ran out of cover. There was no more bushes for me to hide behind with the camera, and so it's like, well,
Which is the very nature of a Reaper style
yeah, right.
hunt.
So it's either I stay here and maybe we get it on film. If they're out of range, they're out of range. Or I come with you and maybe I bust the hunt.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got to kind of weigh that out then. And it ultimately comes down to who you're hunting with, what's really their goal. It was more of a casual thing, and it was going to be somebody's first turkey. So I'm like, you know what? I'll stay back in the brush. I'll try to get it. If I don't, oh well.
So did you get it?
They got the bird. I didn't get the shot.
Yeah. And I'll tell you that what you just explained is the ultimate dilemma of video for hunting. I shot Kill It, Clean It, Cook It. That was on the air for 13 years, and I essentially shot that almost all myself. So I was out there not only shooting the video camera, but also shooting the gun.
Yeah,
and
that's a
also
lot to think
trying
about.
to record as you go. And that question, you don't realize it, and it's a little probably less in waterfowl hunting where you might have more than one chance to get some decent video. But when you are out there and you've got your camera trained on something, but you're at the same time calling and watching the bird, and you want to take that ethical shot, and you got to make sure that the camera's lined up on the spot that the animal is, you're guessing the animal's going to be when the shot is taken. I think a lot of people who watch video kind of underestimate the difficulty and the choices that have to be made on the spot when you're out there, because everybody knows the best camouflage is not moving. Well, that is completely contraindicated to shooting the best video, because in shooting the best video, you are moving to the spot that gives you the vantage of the best camera shot.
Not only that, you're moving while you're shooting. You're going to reach up and zoom the lens in on the quarry. You're going to pull out wide, and you're going to pan over to somebody to get their face. On a bow hunt, you might be able to be pretty steady on it, but yeah, if you're on the ground on a tripod or you're on a shoulder rig, you're moving the camera around to get the different shots. It's pretty rare that you have an opportunity to run a multi-camera setup on any kind of hunt where something has good vision, turkeys, waterfowl. I mean, to run multiple cameras, that's pretty tough. You're usually on one camera trying to shoot to your left, shoot to your right.
Everything other than human beings has great vision. Honest to God, I've tried to shoot video of carp shooting, and I swear those suckers are looking through the water at you. Oh,
They see a draw.
There's Joel.
Say cheese, don't
come
swim
he's-
away.
Why is he wearing safety green?
Oh, I swear I've had carp jump the string on me.
Yeah, no joke. No joke. I'm not even kidding about it. What's your favorite thing to shoot video? What's your favorite thing to hunt versus what's your favorite thing to shoot video of?
Oh man. Well, my favorite thing to hunt, I mean, that's pretty easy. That's waterfowl for me. I mean, nothing gets my blood pumping like the wings whistling, on those first rays of daylight. Yep. That is just the tops for me. As far as, to film, it's probably a tie between upland and ducks. I mean, ducks is kind of... Yeah, so the nice thing with upland is it's rather predictable.
With a pointer it is. If it's a flusher, it's way tougher.
But the direction that the dogs are going to work for the most part, because the hunters are going to work the field from one end to another.
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of moving that way. Whereas, if you're trying to set up for a turkey hunt and, you're going to try to work them from the roost, you're going out to the edge of the woods, listening for a gobble, and then you're going to try to race to cover and figure out which angle you're going to point stuff. Upland is way more open. There's not as many lighting issues to deal with. Like you said, you might have stuff with pointers going on, and it's very repeatable. There's likely going to be multiple flushes throughout a hunt. So in terms of
it's probably just easy, predictable stuff that you can just position,
and
be ready.
You know, you have great color in the grasses. You have all kinds of texture and stuff there, so it lends itself to good aesthetics.
Huh.
Well, we're going to carry ourselves home, like all the small things, and we're going to go to break already. When we come back, Chase Baker is going to talk to us about what the Wisconsin Waterfowl Hunters Expo holds coming out of this break. We'll be right back on Raised in Wisco. I'm your host, Joel Clayfish, alongside Danielle Fairman. We'll be right back. Our music on this show. Welcome back to Raised in Wisco. I'm your host, Joel Clayfish, alongside Danielle Fairman. Chase Baker from Grit, Video Masterman. I love the
I feel
fact...
like mosh pitting right now. I'm
a little mosh pit-ish myself. That was Slayer bringing us into the break. And what that reminds me of, I have a friend of mine, Amy Stefik. She owns a company called Puck Hockey. She actually listens to the show from Michigan.
Ooh,
Not only are we
hello.
in 13 stations throughout the state of Wisconsin now, but we've got people across the borders listening to us. But she runs a company called Puck Hockey, PUCKHCKY.com, and they have like jerseys and hockey jerseys, sweatshirts, and all the stuff for all of these bands, including the band Slayer. We love to mix it up coming back. So check that out if you're into some of the heavy stuff like Motorhead and like I said, Slayer.
That's all I can think of. I'm not really into that hard stuff. Or I'm in this moment. Like
I'm a Michael Jackson fan, but I love metal too. It really gets me in like a pumping mood if I'm on my way.
To fight somebody.
And I love country music too. But if I'm on my way, to the Duck Blind or somewhere in the morning, I'll play a little Anthrax to get me jacked up, get me fired up.
Yeah.
Those fast chords, the double bass, so it's good stuff. But hey, anyway, thanks for listening. If you're listening today, Amy, who is also a fan, by the way, of the Panzerata.
Ooh, who is not a fan of the Panzerata?
I know. We were just talking about it during the break. If you've never had a Panzerata from Jimmy's Grotto in Waukesha, my rule, one desert island, one food, rest of my life.
Do
if I had
not
to pick,
say the Panzerata.
it would be the Panzerata.
What? Why?
I feel like the Panzerata.
I feel like you would
if
die
you don't
immediately.
Know what a Panzer? Well, if you're on a desert island by yourself, I mean, really, I think all bets are off.
I feel like I'm taking a tomahawk steak.
Every meal.
Oh yeah.
Every meal, a tomahawk. See, I could do a Panzerata every meal. I really could.
I could do
So
one
if you
a
don't know
year.
what a Panzerata is, it's this glorious, it's like, first of all, start with a pizza, basically. Whatever you like in a pizza is what's inside of it. And then wrap it in this most amazing doughy creation that gets deep fried and becomes like this flaky goodness of golden, sweet crustiness. Oh my gosh, I love food.
That kind of reminds me of what is the dish that's kind of like that, but up in the UP.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. They have them in England a lot. No, they're not called poo-poos, Danielle.
Pasties.
Pasties.
There we go.
Yes,
We're good
pasties. Those are like a British creation, but they're nothing like a pasty.
I'd much
They're
rather have
closer
a
to
pasty than a panza. Do not
right.
look at me with those eyes.
Calvin, can you shut her mic off for the rest of the show? She just said she prefers pasties to panzeratas.
Yes, because all I think about with panzeratas is grease just seeping out of my pores.
They're not that greasy.
They're so greasy.
Well, that's part of the joy of it.
It is part of the
Here's
joy.
the thing.
hangover cure.
When I was in college, I worked at a place called Wild Pizza at Pepperdine University. It was one of my jobs, right? And so I'm in there, and I'm thinking, how can I recreate the panzerata? So I took pizzas and I would fold them in half and curl the edges and then deep fry them.
Makes sense.
Now, they were pretty good. A 6 out of 10. A Panzerata is a 10 out of 10. It really is. So we started selling these things. Like you could order a pizza or you could order, like I think we called them like Wild Pockets or something like that. I don't know, something stupid.
Hot Pockets.
But it wasn't Hot Pockets, Danielle. You're showing your generational age right there. 'Cause
Calzone.
It's like a deep fried calzone, but it's totally different. It's just got a
But
really
better.
flaky crust. It's way better.
It's like, no, guess stop talking about food. We're talking about grit.
What? The show is about food very often. Very often the show is about food, and that's. I actually want to
Sorry,
talk to you.
this is art. This is what
You're
happens.
good.
You
It
can
goes all
chime in
over
with
the
your
joint,
panza.
Chase.
Do you prefer
Chase is
a
sliding right in. He's
panza
good.
or pasty?
Panzeratas. I mean,
Oh,
I was born and raised in Waukesha County. I
You
mean,
know-
you have to go with the Panzerata.
Danielle, you are co-host of a show on WAUK.
Yeah.
There is nothing more quintessentially Waukesha than a Panzerata.
This is true. or Taco John's.
But Joel,
Taco
I will
John's is
say,
awesome,
if
too.
that's your desert island food,
What is your desert
that's your calorie count for like the week on a panzerata. Like you can live forever on that one
I'm going to
panzerata.
tell you why I disagree.
Ooh.
Which, by the way, everyone on
'Cause he has
Gilligan's
veggies in
Island,
there.
everyone on Gilligan's Island should have been fat because they were eating coconut cream pie with every meal. Okay, I just want to point that out. But here's why I disagree with you. When you eat a panzerata, everyone who eats one is visiting the bathroom within about 20 to 30 minutes. So I think those are free calories.
Rod City.
Right, Calvin? Even Calvin's laughing too.
That is a
Calvin's in
solid
good mood
argument.
today. He's like, so I think those are free calories because when you eat them within 20 minutes, those calories mysteriously leave your body.
Now I'm thirsty.
What does that have to do
I
with
don't
it?
know. I feel like that's all going out of me. I need to replenish, and now I need water.
And now you want a panzerata. No, you probably
I
don't.
don't
You want a
wanna-
pasty. Well, good luck. Drive to Iron County then. It's about this close. Although there's a pasty shop in Madison that's pretty good. Miles Teddy Wedgers, it's called.
Teddy Wedgers?
Yeah, that's what
Teddy
they call
wedgies?
the pasties there. Okay. Nobody can disagree that we have fun. We have so much fun on the show. Chase Baker, I don't think people have any idea how much actual work goes into someone's life if they say everybody wants to be, oh, I work in the outdoors, or I get paid I'm an outdoors professional. I get paid to do work in the outdoors. I'm 52 years old. I've worked my entire life to build a few things in which I get paid some money to do some things in the outdoors. And I love it. It's exciting. It's a part of the repertoire that helps me pay bills and try to send my kids to college, right? But I don't think the average person appreciates the amount of work that goes in if you're trying to make a career in the outdoor industry.
Oh, absolutely. It's very romanticized, from the outside to have this idea that you're kind of this outdoor free spirit, free wielding, get to kind of, take the day as you wish and kind of do whatever with it. Man, it's really not that when that becomes kind of your 9 to 5. It's a bit of a
It's
grind.
not 9 to 5, first of all.
No, not at all. It replaces your 9 to 5 so that you can work 7 days a week all the time, right?
Right.
You give up that 9 to 5 so that you don't have any free time at all, really.
Sounds thrilling.
I mean, it really is because that's my passion.
Yep.
This is what I would be doing in my free time anyway. So to kind of
Yes.
make that the job is a natural extension for me. But yeah, there's a lot of prep work that goes into it that I think a lot of people don't anticipate or realize.
Like, don't eat a panza the night before?
Yeah, don't eat a ponz. I mean, if you're talking like really close to the hunt, yeah, you have to worry about your nutrition. You might have to eat some apples and some salad, and work down a couple of Gatorades throughout the evening so that your body is ready for that 15 hours of grind with 40 or 50 pounds of kit on your back. And there's no, oh, hey guys, let's pause here. I'm gonna eat quick. Like if that's not, if your subject is not on that schedule, you just have to keep right on rolling. And you might be waist deep in the mud in the marsh. You might be 20 feet up a tree. You have to roll with it. But what I think is really overlooked on the prep side is the amount of gear preparation that goes into everything. For me to make it through one 8 to 12 hour day, I'm going to be charging somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 batteries.
Oh, dang.
You need batteries for your monitor. You need batteries for gimbals, batteries for drones. Most of them don't take the same battery either. So
of course, or the
you're
same
running
charger,
all
or
these
the
different
same
chargers.
cord.
You're trying to make sure you have enough memory cards, to account for everything. So you're cleaning all the dust off your camera sensors, off all the inside and outside of all of your lenses. You're trying to account for, okay, what could happen? Do I need a rain sleeve for my pack because we might get rained on? You got to plan for every eventuality, and then try to get it into something that you can manage on your back to run around with. And I mean, you're going to spend at least 2 days prepping before a shoot, and that's to say nothing of scripting, planning, what the story is going to be, how you're going to tell that story. I mean, that's a whole nother beast. But just getting your stuff ready to go out takes a couple of days if you're going to go out on a serious
No
film.
doubt about it. Does it frustrate you now that everybody's got a camera on their phone and they're all shooting video and everybody thinks they're the next Stanley Kubrick in the hunting blind?
On their Android phones.
It doesn't bother me that everybody has access to that, because when I see that footage, I see the difference in quality. I recognize what a mirrorless camera or a cinema camera can do compared to a cell phone. It does irritate me a little bit in the sense that it's kind of been devalued, that people feel as though what they've produced on their phone is every bit as good as what you spent months, developing a system for. But I mean, that's kind of the nature of it. I mean, that's the way a lot of industries have kind of evolved over time. So you just have to kind of roll with it.
Yes, I think, I've spent 32 years in television in one form, fashion, or another. 32 years in radio and television since I was 21 years old. Well, actually, since I was, if you want to count my internship, since I was 19 years old. And you learn every day. So you walk a fine line, because in the television industry, in the industry of media and the outdoors, you really have to be careful not to ever let the part of your ego or your confidence supersede the fact that you are going to learn every day. You never know everything that's going to come at you on a certain day.
Right.
You always have the capacity to have not flipped the switch for the audio recording on one channel.
Yep.
That still happens to all of us in our very best days. That may happen. Or you'll double punch from time to time and not realize it in the excitement of the moment, record and then turn the recording off. And all of a sudden you just missed the greatest shot of the day. This is all real-time stuff that's happening every day. And for me, everybody having access to video and to the ability to edit on their phones, to me, gives me incentive to continue improving myself. Because if I want to be a good storyteller, storytelling is literally a combination. You can tell a story with no words.
You can.
And just pictures. You can tell a story with just pictures and audio. You can tell a story with pictures, audio, man on camera, interviews in it, and voiceover. But at the end of the day, you want to tell the most complete story that you set out to tell. And very often that story changes throughout the day and throughout the hunt. You can have something preconceived, which absolutely changes. Do you find that happens a lot?
Oh, yeah. I actually had a project just last fall. A buddy of mine shot a buck with his bow, and he's like, hey, I got an opportunity for you to come get some video and some photos. Really, I think he just wanted some free headshots with his nice deer.
That's all right.
But he's like, it's for you, right? Like you get some benefit out of this. He's like, it should be down about 40 yards away. He's like, I saw him crash, so we'll be good. I'm like, okay, see you in an hour. Get all my gear together, which luckily was prepped from the night before, and
nice.
headed out into the woods. Well, it wasn't down. So what turned into, or what started out as take some shots of me recovering my deer, dragging it out, turned into
a hunt.
The deer is still alive. We're going to put more arrows into it because it just swam across the river and is now on an island.
Oh, man.
And the archer is running out of arrows. And I mean, I was lucky to even be rolling. I was
cow.
just, okay,
Did you get the final shot then?
Wow.
I have the final shot of the archer taking it.
Sure.
I don't have the final shot of the deer. He was about 100 yards away in, shoulders deep cattails, so I didn't have a visual on the deer. But
I think, and I don't mean to interrupt your story because I want you to finish it, but I think part of the exciting thing about that is you have to, as an outdoor photographer, you are very often changing what you're able to capture and then still trying to tell the best story. And sometimes that look of intensity on the archer's face, or the guy who's about to pull the trigger, or the finger on the trigger, and the look in his eye and the shiver in his finger tells the story better than the arrow or the bullet going into the animal anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I could have planned out what we wanted to happen. We would have never ended up with the way that it broke down. Not really the ideal scenario for an archer. That's not exactly how you want it to work, recovering your deer from the other
Sure.
side of water. But from a storytelling perspective, it worked out phenomenally. And one other point I'd like to make, you had mentioned double tapping.
Yeah.
So kind of on the opposite of double tap, one thing... Oh, do we have a break?
Yeah,
coming
we
up?
got
I feel like we're right
Save it.
there.
We'll be right back on Race and Wisco. Let's go to the break with a little more Slayer.
Life ain't close to what I thought it was gonna be. Hitched as a kid and cut it off before I let it breathe. Did it again,
Coming out of the
now
break
I
with a
just
little
soak
Corey
in the
Michael,
misery.
good friend of
Damn, I
ours, good
need
friend
a
of the
drink.
show, and the next big country artist nationwide. You just watch. I'm telling you, he's talented kid.
I found
What
it crazy. We go from Slayer to that.
To Corey Michael or
To
Michael,
hitting
even
deep.
sometimes Michael Jackson or Justin Timberlake, you name it. We are all over the board. In fact, if you've got some ideas of some of the bump music you'd like to hear on Raised in Wisco, send us an email. Give us a shout. We'll be happy to play it for you.
Give us a call.
Give us a call.
At
Give us a call at, don't ever ask me. I never know the number, Danielle. I've told you I will
844.
never know it.
844-967-2789.
Yeah, the show's been fantastic. We've got Chase Baker on the show from Grit. Established his own videography in the outdoors. He's living his dream, and his dream's a lot of work, I'm telling you. And we were talking about double punching. You had a story about missing the record shot. We went into break, so I want to hear that.
Yeah, well, and actually kind of a little bit of an anecdote in the opposite direction, a lesson that I've kind of picked up when we were on this deer recovery, and I was filming what I thought was just people following a blood trail to the deceased deer. I didn't realize I was still recording. I just was holding the camera pointed at him, and I was kind of making shorter clips here and there.
Sure.
Happened to still be recording. We bumped the deer, and it's in frame.
Oh,
If you pause
nice.
it's only there for a split second, but you can actually see the buck. He's laying down while my buddy is walking through the marsh. You can see the buck get up and jump over a log into the river.
Wow.
I mean, it's just in the corner of the frame, just barely
that's
there.
perfect.
But
That's called serendipity, because that never happens.
right. And so, but it jogged my mind when you said that, the double punching and missing those moments.
Right.
What I've learned is sometimes you don't punch it right away when you think you're done. When you think the moment hasn't happened yet, or it's already happened, let the camera go just a little longer. I have tons of pieces that I've put out where either in the intro or the outro, there are great clips where the camera was just going. And I was just kind of standing with some people chit-chatting. It's just a shot of their boots or a shot of the dog on the tailgate, my buddy bumping the deer. It just happened to be on. Let the
those are like
camera run a little
Those
longer
little
than
raw
you think.
experiences that people don't know you're recording, so they're not going to
Yeah,
be
or you never
scripted.
know when
They-
something's
it's
gonna
more
happen.
natural.
That's what Danielle's talking about. Is what I love, and that's an old TV news trick. You start rolling right away, and then when the interview's, I'm doing air quotes here in the studio, done, you keep rolling the camera, because sometimes the best or most heartfelt things come out after they think the interview's over, and
Right.
you are not asking questions anymore. Because especially with folks who haven't done an interview before, there's sometimes an unnatural feeling about an actual, sit-down interview. And so people are a little more likely to take a deep breath, feel like
Yep.
the weight's off, and say something more natural. And that happens with video, with audio, in all types of recording, especially in outdoor recording. And I'll tell you, memory space is cheap. I mean, it's expensive to buy
it's never
those
been
big
cheaper.
chips, but it's never been cheaper. I started in television when we were recording on 3/4-inch tape, okay? And so you had a certain amount of it and a certain amount that you had to make sure your interviews fit before you were done recording tape for B-roll and interviews.
Yep.
Now you got a ton of it. And the show goes so fast. Before we get out of here, the Waterfowl Hunters Expo is coming up on August 25th. And
26th.
On August 26th, like I said, I have managed to wrangle just about every aspect of my life into this. The Fowl Life is one of the main sponsors of the show this year. We got Danielle up there talking about the experiences of women in waterfowl and hunting. She's going to be on a panel on the main stage at 2 o'clock. I'm doing a cooking segment. I'm also judging the meat calling contest.
Yes,
which
and I
is
am
gonna
going
be put
to
on by
do that.
Jargon. And Chase Baker, who's right here in the studio with us. He's the official videographer, photographer, cameraman extraordinaire, chief cook and bottle washer for the expo as well. So are you excited about that? What are you hoping to get out of that? I think there's some real opportunities for some storytelling.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. You know, the dog retriever contest, that always makes for a good story. The trap range always has some good action going on. The calling contest. You know, logistically, it's a lot to cover in one day. You know, it's a 1 day show. We don't get any do-overs. My team doesn't get to go out another day and get more. So we got to try to capture, you know, Joel's going to have some seminars going on. At the same time, we got to be outside getting some of the dog content.
So I'm going to be like your buddy who asked you to, just come out. You can use the video. I'm going to be like, hey, just show up to my cooking segment. You'll have great video for yourself to use. Of the cooking segment.
Shouldn't be a problem this year. We expanded the team a little bit for this
awesome.
year's content. Instead of a 2-man crew, we're going with a 4-man crew. So,
nice.
So I need
should be
your
plenty
advice.
of cameras.
I like to do waterfowl just because we've got the provider and the provider brands and spices and rubs, and we've got the right wing sauce we're unveiling this year, which is our new sauce, which is my recipe from 20 years ago, and it's awesome. So come on out to the expo, because I think I haven't decided yet. I did Michoacan style style goose nachos last year. I think this year I'm going to do pot pies. I think I'm gonna. I'm just going to cook them all.
Every single person says the pot pie.
I know they are that good, but it's
They're
going to be
so
a little
good.
tricky. I'm going to have to bring in like a toaster oven or something to show people how to make it.
Great idea. I have a great idea. Do it here. I will be the guest.
You'll be the guest.
Yes,
We're not
we can
gonna
have
do
it
it here.
Yes,
We got to
we can,
cook it. I got to cook it there in front of people.
You can cook it in front
show
of me.
them how to do it. No, I have to show the
We could
crowd.
do it. We
how to
could do
cook
it
Danielle.
live on our Zoom on Raised in
Danielle,
Wisco. Joel.
This is a radio show. You can't show anybody anything.
Live Facebook. Look at that camera you always talk about.
I think I'm going to do pot
Come
pies.
on.
But then I'm going to have to make one, and I'm going to have to bring like 5 of them because we fed like 150 people last year for that.
Yeah,
thing.
it was busy. There was good turnout.
Yeah,
we
it
do
was
a goose
fantastic.
panza.
A goose. I don't think I can call them. I think panzeratas are patented or trademarked at least.
A goosa. Goosa.
Gooserata.
Goosarada.
Panzagusa.
Fowlata?
No, we're not
No.
calling food a fowlata. That sounds horrible.
Doesn't sound
It
appetizing.
does not sound appetizing. A
Oh, no,
fowlata.
I guess no fowl. See,
fowlerata?
I'm still stuck on waterfowl, so I didn't think of.
Well, that is something that is exciting. There's no doubt about it. Before we go, Chase, I want your advice to some of the youngsters there. Now, look, you're still a young man. I get that. But now people with the phones, with the younger and younger folks getting into waterfowl hunting, getting into hunting in general, we are encouraging that. Our show's about bringing them here. In the last minute of the show, what is your one piece of advice you can give somebody who says, I'd like to maybe consider pursuing something in the videography realm in the outdoors?
Yeah, shoot a lot. Try to plan what you're going to get content around. What's your story? Plan that story and shoot a whole bunch. Don't be ashamed of picking up your phone. I always say that the best camera you have is the one you already own. And for a lot of us, that's our phone.
Yep.
You can do a lot of storytelling just with your phone.
That's great
Very
advice. And I'm going to say, don't be afraid to be the guy behind the camera. You get to really tell a lot more stories, and there's much better chance of you making something in the industry than if you want to try to be the person on television, because there's fewer of those spots, and to be honest, you get to tell a heck of a lot of stories from behind the lens. What a great show, Chase Baker.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chase.
We'll be right back next week with Danielle and Mike Kretschmer on Raised in Wisco. See ya.
All the times I fall